There are but a few men in the history of humanity who have accumulated fortunes like that of Andrew Carnegie, a man who was as complex as he was rich. After selling his company, his net worth would equal a staggering 2% of America's GDP. In today's video, we'll explore how one Scottish immigrant, armed with just 5 years of schooling, would rise from poverty to the status of the world's richest man. Andrew's story begins across the Atlantic Ocean, in Dunfermline, Scotland, where he grew up in what could only be described as abject poverty. His mother would work around the clock, sewing shoes. His father would make cloth and other material, hand-weaving looms. That was, of course, until the steam-powered loom came into the picture. With weaving technology rapidly improving, his father's loom business would crumble, finding himself crushed by the Industrial Revolution. Watching his father suffer as he begged for work would impact the young Carnegie profoundly. In 1848, the Carnegies set out in search of a better life outside Scotland. After selling all of their possessions and borrowing £20, the family embarked on their journey to the land of opportunity, America. They would restart their lives from scratch in Pittsburgh, the hub of manufacturing, but still found themselves unable to escape hardship in their new country. His father and mother both struggled to find work, leaving Andrew no choice but to drop out of school to support his family. He would finally catch a break from the scorching heat of the boiler rooms when he landed a job at a local telegraph office. As a messenger boy, he would deliver telegrams by bike all over Pittsburgh. He would memorize the faces of everyone he delivered to so that he could greet them by name if he saw them outside of work. It would provide Carnegie with a unique opportunity to familiarize himself with the city's business community. At 17, he would perfect his telegraph skills. He would grow increasingly skilled at hearing Morse code. Impressively, he could recite messages without needing to write them down. This caught the eye of Thomas Scott, a regional manager for the Pennsylvania Railroad Company, who hired Carnegie to be his personal telegrapher and private secretary for the sum of $35 a month. At the time, the Pennsylvania Railroad Company was the largest corporation in the world. For the business-savvy Carnegie, it was an opportunity like none other, a front-row seat on how to run a successful business. Tom Scott, his boss, realized Carnegie's potential and decided to take the boy under his wing, mentoring him like a second father. It would later be Tom's advice to invest in stocks that provided Carnegie with his first taste of capitalism. Fast forward to the American Civil War. Carnegie is drafted into the Union, but instead of fighting in the war, Carnegie would profit from it. He was able to escape harm's way after paying $850 for a substitute to take his place on the battlefield. It was during this time that Carnegie noticed that the wooden bridges were easily burnt by the troops, and that there was a desperate need for iron bridges to replace them. He capitalized on the opportunity, launching the Keystone Bridge Company. But it would be his next move that would define him as an astute businessman. Keystone didn't just build bridges, they also had their very own iron mills, which provided the iron that was needed for constructing the bridges. Owning the iron source meant that Carnegie's bridge building company would not be dependent on mining or extracting companies for iron, like their competitors. This not only gave Carnegie more control over the entire process, it also improved their margins.